Hey folks, welcome back to Powerful Stoic Habits. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly command respect and attention, as if the world revolves around them, while you're left questioning your own value? What if you could flip that dynamic? What if you became the one they fear losing? Not by playing games, not by changing who you are, but by standing tall, knowing exactly who you are, and making it impossible for anyone to overlook your worth. What if, instead of chasing validation, they're the ones sitting up at night, fearing the thought of losing you? Just think about it. How awesome would that be? You've been the one holding on, wondering if you were enough, doing everything to stay in their good graces. But now the tables are flipped. They're the ones losing sleep, questioning if they can keep you in their life. How empowering, folks. Imagine the shift from the one seeking approval to the one whose value is undeniable, the one they fear losing. Well, folks, this video is going to hit hard. We're diving deep into the ancient Stoic strategies passed down by our wise old friends, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, whose teachings still cut through the noise of our fast-paced world like a sword through fog. These timeless lessons will arm you with the mindset to make people realize just how much they stand to lose when they underestimate you. And let's be clear, this isn't about pulling magic tricks to get attention. You're not a magician pulling rabbits out of hats. This is about real, raw confidence, building an inner strength so unshakable that people have no choice but to see your true worth. You won't be chasing approval anymore. You'll be the one they can't afford to lose. So folks, here's your task for today. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "You will fear losing me." Yes, my friends, go ahead, throw it out there in the comments and let the universe know that you're no longer the one questioning your worth. You're stepping into your power, and you're making it clear that your value is undeniable. Let them realize what's at stake. Type it out and let this message echo, not just for you, but for everyone watching. Let's make it loud. Ready, my Stoic friends? Let's go. So folks, this is not something to take lightly, because today's video is based on the real-life story of one of our subscribers, Nora. She posted it in the comments, and we knew it was worth making a video on. Nora's journey is a raw, emotional story that shows just how powerful Stoicism can be when life feels like it's falling apart. And we approached Nora, asking for her permission to share her story in this video, because we knew how important it was to guide others who might be in a similar situation. Nora graciously allowed us to use her experience to help those struggling with the same pain. This is a story that needs to be told, because too many people feel like they're in that dark place, not realizing that there's a way out. Nora was in a really dark place. She had poured everything into her relationship, her time, her love, her energy, hoping he would finally see her worth. She was desperate for him to notice, to care, to show even the smallest sign that she mattered. But every attempt she made was met with silence, or worse, indifference. She spent countless nights lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering what she had done wrong. Tears would fall as she replayed moments where she thought things were getting better, only for him to pull away again. There were days she'd stand in front of the mirror, trying to convince herself that she was enough, only to break down when the weight of his coldness hit her again. The sight of his texts, short, uninterested, was enough to send her spiraling, each message a reminder that he wasn't seeing her, not really. She tried everything to keep him close, planning special dates, sending thoughtful messages, even ignoring her own needs just to make him happy. But no matter what she did, it was like screaming into a void, and the pain of his indifference was unbearable. One night, after yet another cancelled plan and an empty apology, she broke down completely. She sat on her bed, hugging her knees, crying harder than she ever had, feeling like she was disappearing. The loneliness was suffocating, and she started to believe that the only way to make him see her pain was to hurt herself. In that moment, she thought about doing something she could never take back, something that might finally make him realize her worth. But the universe had other plans for Nora. In that moment of darkness, something shifted. She stumbled across Stoicism, almost by accident, and it was like the universe hit her with a lifeline. But something shifted in that darkest moment. As Nora sat there, tears streaming down her face, feeling like she was completely lost, something unexpected happened. She stumbled across a post about Stoicism, a philosophy she had never really thought about before. It was almost like the universe was sending her a lifeline. She started reading about Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, ancient philosophers who faced their own struggles and still found strength in themselves. One quote hit her like a lightning bolt: "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Nora realized that all this time she had been drowning in her own thoughts, believing her worth was tied to how much he noticed her. But Stoicism showed her something different. Her value didn't depend on his attention. It was something she held within herself. With that realization, Nora began to change. She stopped waiting for his texts, stopped rearranging her world around him. Instead, she started focusing on herself, her growth, her happiness. She picked up running again, something she'd given up to spend more time with him. She joined new clubs, met new people, and suddenly she felt a freedom she hadn't known in years. And then, as if the universe wanted to throw in one last twist, something unexpected happened, he noticed. After weeks of ignoring her, of taking her for granted, he suddenly became interested. He saw the glow she had regained, the confidence she carried. He started sending her messages again, trying to reconnect, asking to see her. But this time, something was different. Nora wasn't that same person anymore. She didn't feel the same desperate need for his attention. In fact, she didn't need it at all. She had found something far more valuable: her independence. And as much as he seemed to want back in her life, she wasn't willing to sacrifice the peace and strength she'd worked so hard to build. She smiled, realizing that she'd become the person they fear losing, but she was too busy enjoying her newfound freedom to care. Nora had transformed, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid of being left behind. She was happy with who she was, with or without him. So, folks, you are lucky. The universe has also taken charge of you, just like it did for Nora. This is your moment to thrive, to reclaim your worth, and to stop seeking validation from those who don't deserve it. You're here for a reason, and that reason is to discover that your value is not tied to someone else's approval. It's time to turn your pain into power, and the universe has brought you to this video for that very reason. So now let's dive into the exact 8 Stoic strategies you need to apply to transform yourself into someone they fear losing. These Stoic strategies come straight from our friend Nora. Thanks to her courage and wisdom, we have a blueprint for moving from despair to empowerment. These are the same steps that helped Nora break free from the chains of seeking validation, turning her pain into personal strength. Now, it's your turn. Grab a pen, folks, because you'll want to take notes on these Stoic principles that will change your life for the better. Let's get started. Number 1. Get rid of the fear. So folks, let's kick things off with the first strategy that Nora shared with us, getting rid of the fear that they might leave you. This is absolutely crucial, because as long as you're afraid of losing them, you're giving away your power. I know this can be confusing. You might be thinking, if I want to keep them, shouldn't I do everything I can to hold on? It feels logical, right? But in reality, that fear is exactly what's pushing them away. Let's break it down. Fear in relationships often shows up as desperation, and desperation is never attractive. The more afraid you are of losing someone, the more your actions become controlled by that fear. You stop being yourself. Instead of acting from a place of confidence and connection, you're making decisions based on trying to keep them. Every word, every gesture is calculated, not out of love, but out of fear. And trust me, they can sense that. It's like holding on to water. No matter how tight you squeeze, it just slips through your fingers. Nora went through this exact struggle. She was constantly anxious about whether her partner would leave. She would overthink every conversation, worrying if she was being interesting enough or if she was saying the right thing. Her fear became the driving force behind every interaction. And guess what? The more she feared losing him, the more distant he became. That's when she realized that her fear was creating the exact situation she wanted to avoid. Imagine this. You're with someone you really care about, but instead of enjoying the moment, you're filled with thoughts like, am I being boring? What if they're not interested anymore? You're overanalyzing every word, and that anxiety shows. The connection you're trying to build fades because fear is leading the conversation. This is what happened to Nora, and it's what happens to so many of us. Now, here's where Stoicism comes into play. One of the core lessons of Stoicism is to focus on what you can control. The Stoic philosophers, like Epictetus, taught that we can't control external events or how others feel about us. What we can control, however, is how we react to these situations. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Instead of worrying about whether someone stays or leaves, you need to focus on your own actions, mindset, and behavior. How do you get rid of this fear? The first step is accepting that their staying or leaving is not something you can control. You can't make someone stay in your life, and you can't control their feelings. But you can live your life in a way that reflects your own values and worth. You need to let go of the idea that their presence defines your value. Your worth exists with or without them. Nora started to shift her focus. She stopped trying to please her partner at every moment and started focusing on herself, her hobbies, her interests, her own well-being. And slowly, the fear that once consumed her began to fade. She realized that she was valuable, regardless of whether or not he noticed. And the more she let go of the fear, the more confident and secure she became. Her partner began to notice this shift too. She was no longer clinging to him, and that made her more attractive. Here's a light-hearted example to help illustrate this. Think about a cat. Have you ever tried chasing a cat? The more you chase, the more it runs away. But when you sit back and relax, what happens? The cat comes to you. That's exactly how fear works in relationships. When you chase someone out of fear of losing them, they pull away. But when you relax, stop worrying, and just focus on being yourself, they're drawn to you naturally. Now you might be wondering, but what if the fear feels overwhelming? I get it. It's hard to let go of that fear, especially if you've been hurt before. Maybe you've been abandoned or ignored, and that fear has taken root. But each time you face that fear and refuse to let it control you, you get stronger. Every time you remind yourself that your value isn't tied to whether someone stays, that fear loses its power. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of Stoicism. Your strength comes from within, not from external validation. When you stop worrying about whether someone will leave, you take back your power, and that's when they start to see your true value. So folks, let's affirm this together. I release fear. Simple but powerful. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel that fear lifting. Your worth isn't tied to anyone else's actions. You are valuable, just as you are. If you're ready to make this change, drop that affirmation in the comments. I release fear. Let the universe know you are stepping into your power and letting go of the fear that once controlled you. You are no longer afraid. They are the ones who should start noticing what they could lose. That's the first step, folks. Ready for the next one? Let's keep moving forward. Let's go. Number 2, own a pet. Now, you might be wondering how this fits into becoming the one they fear losing. Nora's story offers a perfect example. When she was at her lowest point, feeling alone and desperate for her partner's attention, she felt like she had nothing. Her whole world revolved around whether or not he noticed her. But something changed when she got her dog, Max. Suddenly, Nora wasn't alone anymore. She had companionship, love, and a sense of purpose that didn't rely on her partner's validation. Owning a pet is more than just having a cute furry friend. It's about building a life where you aren't dependent on anyone else to feel fulfilled. Your pet becomes a constant source of love and companionship, giving you a sense of security. You're no longer waiting for someone else to fill that void. Nora realized this with Max. Every day she had someone who was genuinely happy to see her, no strings attached. Max didn't care if she was having a bad day or if someone wasn't paying attention to her. He was there, full of love and joy. And that changed how Nora saw herself and her life. When you have a pet, you're reminded that you're never truly alone. This helps shift your mindset away from being overly focused on someone else's attention. Instead of anxiously waiting for a text or a sign of interest, you're spending time with your pet, enjoying life in a different way. You feel loved and needed, and that sense of security radiates into other parts of your life. Here's why this works. When you feel secure and loved, even if it's from your pet, you stop acting from a place of desperation. Desperation and loneliness are unattractive. They make us clingy, anxious, and too dependent on someone else's validation. But when you own a pet, you're constantly reminded that you're loved and valued, even if the person you're interested in isn't giving you attention at that moment. Your confidence grows, and guess what? Confidence is magnetic. Let's say you're out with friends, and your mind keeps drifting to someone you've been trying to attract. Instead of worrying about what they're doing, you focus on the present moment. And when you go home, you're greeted by your dog or cat, someone who's genuinely happy to see you. This simple act can change how you feel about your day. You're no longer relying on a text or call to feel fulfilled, because you have a companion who's always there for you. That confidence, that peace of mind, changes how you interact with others. Nora found that owning a pet also gave her something bigger, a sense of purpose. Taking care of Max meant that she wasn't just thinking about herself and her relationship all the time. She had responsibilities, routines, and most importantly, joy that didn't depend on her partner's actions. It made her realize that she could be happy and fulfilled on her own. That shift was key in making her partner notice the new Nora, someone who wasn't waiting around for his attention. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Owning a pet helps you live in the present. You stop anxiously waiting for someone to validate you and start enjoying the unconditional love and companionship your pet provides. Let's close this step with a simple affirmation. I am never alone. Feel the strength in knowing that you're surrounded by love, even if it's from your pet. You are enough, and your happiness isn't tied to someone else's approval. If you already have a pet, share your experience in the comments. How has having a pet changed your life? And if you're ready to embrace this step, drop the affirmation below. I am never alone. Let the universe know you've built a life full of love and companionship, with or without someone's attention. That's step 2, folks. Ready for the next one? Let's keep building this journey together. Let's go. Number 3, act as if you don't care. All right, folks, let's move on to strategy number 3. Act as if you don't care. This is something Nora learned the hard way, and it changed everything for her. Acting as if you don't care isn't about pretending or playing games. It's about freeing yourself from needing constant validation. It's about living your life fully, no matter what someone else thinks or does. In Nora's case, she used to hang on to every little sign of attention from her partner. If he texted, she felt good. If he didn't, she'd be anxiously waiting, wondering if she did something wrong. She was so focused on his reactions that she stopped living her own life. But then, as she started embracing Stoicism, she learned to shift her mindset. Instead of seeking his approval, she began to focus on herself, her own happiness, her own goals. That's when everything changed. When Nora stopped acting like his attention was the center of her world, she noticed that he started paying more attention to her. Why? Because she was no longer chasing after him. Here's why this works. When you stop seeking someone's validation, you become more attractive. Think about it. When someone is always available, always seeking attention, it can be overwhelming, right? But when someone is living their life confidently, doing their own thing, they become intriguing. That's what happened to Nora. By acting as if she didn't need his approval, she became more confident and independent, and that energy drew him back in. She stopped obsessing over his actions, and that shift in energy made her more magnetic. Now, this doesn't mean you're being cold or distant. It's about shifting your focus from, I hope they like me, to, I'm living my life, and if they fit into it, great. If not, I'm still happy. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional roller coaster of needing constant validation. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Their opinion, out of your control. But your mindset, that's completely in your hands. When you act as if you don't care, you're freeing yourself from worrying about things you can't control. You're living for yourself, not for their attention. Let's take a moment and affirm this together. I release the need for validation. Feel the weight lift as you stop chasing their approval and start living for you. That's step 3, folks. Ready for the next one? Let's keep building that unshakable confidence. Let's go. Number 4, redefine success. All right, folks, let's dive into strategy number 4, redefine success. This is a powerful shift in perspective that completely transformed Nora's life, and it can do the same for you. When we think of success, especially in relationships, we often define it by how others see us, whether they love us, stay with us, or give us attention. But Stoicism teaches us something different. Success isn't about external validation. It's about inner growth and personal fulfillment. Now, you might be wondering, what does redefining success have to do with making them fear losing you? Here's the answer. When you stop relying on others to define your worth, you become unstoppable. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident in their own journey, who don't need constant approval to feel accomplished. The moment you redefine success in your own terms, they see that you don't depend on them for happiness, and that's when they start to fear losing you. Take Nora's story, for example. Before she embraced Stoicism, Nora's idea of success was all wrapped up in her partner's attention. If he was happy with her, she felt like she was succeeding. But when he pulled away, she felt like a failure. She constantly sought his validation, thinking that if she could only please him enough, that would mean she was successful. But it wasn't working, and she was left feeling empty. Then something changed. Nora redefined what success meant to her. Instead of basing her worth on his reactions, she started focusing on her own inner growth, her health, her goals, her passions. She realized that success wasn't about getting someone else's approval. It was about becoming the best version of herself. The more she invested in her own growth, the less she worried about what he thought. And guess what? He noticed. Nora wasn't chasing him anymore. She was thriving on her own, and that made him realize how valuable she truly was. When you redefine success based on your own progress, you stop chasing external validation, and that's where the magic happens. You're no longer waiting for someone to validate your worth. Instead, you're living for yourself, achieving things that matter to you. That independence, that inner fulfillment, it's powerful. And others will start to notice, especially when they see that you're no longer seeking their approval. Stoic wisdom reminds us of this truth. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." When you redefine success, you stop anxiously waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough. You realize that you've always been enough, and that's exactly what makes them fear losing you. So, folks, let's wrap this up with an affirmation. I define my own success. Say it with confidence, because your success isn't tied to anyone else. It's yours to define. And if you're ready to live by this, drop it in the comments. I define my own success. Let the world know that you've taken control of your life, and watch how people start to notice. That's step 4. Ready for the next one? Let's keep going. Number 5. Become busy. All right, folks, let's dive into strategy number 5. Become busy. This one's a game changer, and Nora swears by it. When you're constantly focused on someone else, waiting for their texts, thinking about them all the time, you're giving them too much mental space. The solution? Get busy. Fill your life with things that matter to you. This strategy is about reclaiming your time and energy, so you're no longer sitting around wondering if they're going to notice you. Why does this work? People are naturally drawn to those who are active, productive, and have a full life of their own. When you're busy, you don't have time to sit and worry about what they're doing or thinking. You're focused on your goals, your growth, and your happiness. And that energy, it's magnetic. It shows them that your world doesn't revolve around them, and that makes them realize they could be missing out on someone who's independent and thriving. Nora told us how her life changed when she started becoming busy with her own passions and goals. Before, she'd wait around, constantly checking her phone, hoping for a sign of attention. But once she got into new hobbies, focused on her work, and started spending time with friends, something shifted. She wasn't obsessing over her partner anymore, and that made her feel in control again. And guess what? Her partner noticed that change too. Suddenly Nora wasn't always available, and that made her more intriguing. Here's a little analogy. Think of yourself as a busy restaurant. When a place is always packed, people want to know why. They're curious. But if the restaurant is always empty, it doesn't seem that appealing, does it? When you're busy with your own life, you become that busy restaurant. Interesting, intriguing, and full of energy. So folks, get busy with things that make you happy. It could be picking up a new hobby, working on your fitness, spending time with loved ones, or learning something new. The key is to focus on you, not them. That's step 5, folks. Let's keep this momentum going. Ready for the next one? Let's go! Number 6. Plan a trip with your pet. All right, folks, let's jump into strategy number 6. Plan a trip with your pet. Now, this might sound a bit different, but trust me, it's powerful. Nora shared how planning little adventures with her dog, Max, completely changed her mindset and energy. When she started focusing on creating new experiences with her pet, she realized something amazing. She wasn't thinking about her partner all the time anymore. She was busy living her life, and that brought a whole new level of freedom and happiness. Why does this work? It's simple. When you focus on things that bring you joy, like a trip with your pet, you're no longer dependent on someone else for happiness. You're creating your own adventure, and that energy is infectious. People are naturally drawn to those who are living fully, and that's exactly what planning a trip with your pet does for you. Planning a trip with your pet is more than just getting away. It's about reconnecting with yourself, enjoying the present, and filling your life with moments that don't revolve around someone else. When you take your pet on a trip, whether it's a weekend getaway or just a day out hiking, you're giving yourself the chance to focus on something pure, your bond with your furry friend. Pets are a great reminder of the simple joys in life, and when you immerse yourself in those moments, you stop overthinking and worrying about your relationship. Nora found that when she was out exploring nature with Max, she felt more grounded and less anxious. She wasn't sitting around waiting for her partner to call or text. She was too busy creating memories with her dog. And guess what? That made her more confident, more relaxed, and more focused on what really mattered. Her partner noticed the change, but by then, Nora wasn't as concerned about what he thought. She was living her best life, and that made her even more attractive. Let's close with an affirmation. I create my own adventures. Drop it in the comments if you're ready to focus on creating moments of joy with your pet. Trust me, folks, it's a game changer. That's step 6. Ready for the next one? Let's keep going. Number 7. Grip Stoicism tightly. All right, folks, we're nearing the end, but this next strategy is a cornerstone. Grip Stoicism tightly. This is what really turned things around for Nora, and it can do the same for you. Stoicism is more than just a philosophy. It's a way of life that helps you stay grounded, no matter what's happening around you. When you grip Stoicism tightly, you gain the tools to handle rejection, fear, and uncertainty with grace and strength. Nora shared how, before she embraced Stoicism, every little thing her partner did or didn't do affected her mood. If he was distant, she felt worthless. If he was attentive, she felt great. But the emotional roller coaster was exhausting. When she started practicing Stoicism, she learned how to let go of the things she couldn't control, like her partner's feelings, and focus on what she could control, her own reactions. Here's why Stoicism is so powerful. It teaches you to detach from things outside of your control and focus on yourself. The Stoics believed that you can't control other people's actions, but you can control how you respond. When you grip Stoicism tightly, you stop worrying about whether they'll leave or stay. You stop letting their moods dictate your happiness. Instead, you find your strength in yourself. This inner calm is what makes others fear losing you. You're no longer at their mercy. Nora's shift was huge. She wasn't obsessing over whether her partner noticed her or not. She was focused on living a life aligned with her values, staying calm in the face of uncertainty, and taking control of her own emotional world. That confidence and inner peace made her more attractive than ever. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you grip Stoicism tightly, you build that strength from within, and nothing can shake you. Let's affirm this together. I hold my peace and power. Drop it in the comments if you're ready to embrace Stoicism fully and live with strength and calm. That's step 7, folks. Ready for the final strategy? Let's keep going. Number 8. Always remember you're valuable. All right, folks, we've made it to the final strategy. Always remember you're valuable. This is the heart of everything Nora learned on her journey, and it's the most important lesson you can take away. No matter what happens, no matter who comes or goes in your life, you need to hold on to the truth that you are valuable. Here's why this is key. When you recognize your own value, you stop needing someone else to validate you. You stop chasing their approval because you know you're already enough. You stop settling for less than you deserve. And when you live with that kind of self-respect and confidence, others can't help but notice. They begin to fear losing you because they see that you're someone who values themselves, and that's rare and powerful. In her lowest moments, Nora forgot this. She was so focused on her partner, so desperate for his approval, that she lost sight of her own worth. She let his opinions and actions define how she felt about herself. But when she started practicing Stoicism and focusing on herself, something clicked. Nora realized that her value wasn't tied to whether he loved her or not. It was something she carried within her all along. Nora learned to say to herself, "I am valuable, with or without anyone's approval." And the more she believed it, the more her life transformed. She wasn't shaken by her partner's actions anymore, and that inner strength made her more attractive than ever. When you know your worth, it shows in everything you do. Epictetus once said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Knowing your value is the foundation of living a fulfilling, strong life. Let's close with an affirmation. I am valuable. Simple but powerful. Drop it in the comments if you're ready to live with the truth of your own worth. That's step 8, folks. You got all the tools now. So, folks, there you have it. If you've made it this far, drop a "keep it up" in the comments to let us know you're here and committed to making a change. We appreciate you being part of this journey, and we can't wait to hear how these strategies work for you. And here's a quick request: 8 powerful strategies to help you become the one they fear losing. Now it's time to take action. If any of these strategies resonated with you, go ahead and start applying them in your life today. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content. Thanks for watching, and stay stoic.